Turn on that radio and back here. The cops ain't likely to catch up with us, not tonight. So we can all be quiet and peaceable and listen to the music.
What's up?
Hey.
The road to Auto Dealer Live is alive and well.
Yeah, that's alive and well.
It's alive and well. So what about the road to the sale? What about the road to the sale? I got a better question, man. You're on some road? Because there's if you don't if you don't know where you're going, any road will do. So
Preach it, brother.
So you're on some road. Here's the question: are you in a Pinto?
Are you in a Lexus, baby?
Are you in a Gremlin?
Are you in a Maybach?
Are you in an AMC Pacer?
Are you in an AMG?
Are you in an old jalopy 1974 jalopy?
Your father's Oldsmobile.
Are you driving a Cadillac when Cadillac was for blue hair? Uh-oh. When Cadillac was for blue hair. Oh gosh. Look at this. It's gonna fall over.
Hey, I've read this
You read?
a couple. I read, but
okay.
not very quickly. Just pretty slowly. I do a lot of things slowly, man. I read slow. I pay my bills slow. I do a lot of things slow. But here's the deal. I was reading because you just made me think of it because you're talking about age and demographics with Cadillac. But I've read this several places that Range Rover has the youngest demographic buyer, which I was really blown away when I read that because I was thinking that,
they can't afford them.
Yeah, I was kind of thinking that, hey, only old people can afford them.
So
things,
you're a drug dealer, are you?
Yeah, that's right.
All right.
All right.
Well, drug sales have gone up, so that's pretty interesting. Range Rover has the youngest demographic. So, well, that's what we're talking about, though. It's actually interesting because we're looking at an auto generation or, a consumer generation where really the millennials are now beginning in the next couple of years to really take over the baby boomers as far as the majority. So it's not like we're talking about, those kids anymore, right? Yeah. It's now going to be upon us. And so is the road to the sale. I got to be honest. I know we've got a lot of different perspectives. I know you and I have, we share some similar perspectives and some different than our esteemed guests today. And then we've gotten tons of, you probably saw the videos. If you're on Twitter, we had probably 12, 15 people weigh in. Some gave their opinion. But, I'll throw this out there just for fodder, for food for thought, for the debate or for the discussion here. My 14, I think a lot of times these young people are going back to, we hear this like this retro's in kind of deal. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to tell you, it's not as much that retro's in. I think that real's in. And I'll be honest with you, man, if you took a poll from millennials, and I'd be anxious to hear this and to see this, I think the road to the sale in their mind needs to be alive and well. I think they would appreciate it. We have some millennials here, and I'm surprised on a weekly basis in our marketing meetings and things like that on how many 23-year-olds, 22-year-olds, 24-year-olds, 25-year-olds feel the same way I do about certain things, or maybe the same way you do about certain things. And so it's interesting to look at it. And I'm going to tell you, man, we have to have a road to something. So we're down really talking about, Dave, not just like, hey, old school versus new school, but, do we really need to carry them down a process anymore? And I have my opinion. That's what we're going to be discussing today, though.
Well, I think the timing of it's perfect because, like you said, we're entering this new demographic of millennial buyers. Mm-hmm. They're out there, they're shopping, and they've grown up doing things a different way. Mm-hmm. So, the question is, do we need to conform to that, or do we keep going down the same path. I'm curious, is the road to the sale going to survive the show today?
I mean, I feel like getting the paddles out, man. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Is the road to the sale dead? You know, I don't know where you live. Here in Tampa, I'm pretty sure, since the government's involved in it, that it sucks everywhere. But, you know, the bottom line is construction. You know, construction on roads is horrible, right? I mean, it's always going on, and it's always drug out really slow. And, you know, so is the road to the sale under construction? Has it been under construction in your dealership too long? You know, have you kicked the can down the road? Have you pushed it aside? Have you not addressed it? And is it now addressing you? Because I'm going to tell you, I think that we're going to have some interesting perspectives. You know, I know one of our guests today, Joe Webb, and we're going to get into this, but, you know, just to throw this out there, the concept that consumers arrive. This is Joe, quote, the concept, Dave, that consumers arrive at a decision to purchase because we've walked them through a drawn-out series of steps is no longer realistic. You know, I wonder how many car guys would agree, how many would disagree. And I think that's what's going to make this a very interesting conversation. So I'm excited to hear the perspectives. You've weighed in on Twitter, and that's an interesting sound. Go ahead.
Yeah, I caught that too.
That was weird.
Yeah, I'm really excited to hear about all the different perspectives. And, you know, I think, you know, I'll go into it with an open mind. I think I've stated a few aspects of what I think. I'm a believer in the road to the sale. I have, you know, some points that might come up during the show, but, you know, but this show is about our guests. We have 4 different experts in this field who are dealing with the road to the sale and consumers in the dealerships on a day-to-day basis. So we're going to hear a lot of different perspectives, and we'll see at the end of the show where we fall.
Absolutely. Well, they're going to be coming on in just a couple of minutes, so don't go anywhere. Listen, our Tweeter leader is alive and well today. We already, I believe you tweeted out that we are trending already, the hashtag.
Yeah, we were trending long before the show started, so that's exciting again.
Awesome. Let's blow this thing up on Twitter, man. Let's get some attention with them. And so hashtag Auto Dealer Live. We're talking about the road to the sale. Is it alive? Is it dead? We anticipate one of our largest dealer audiences today. We've gotten tremendous feedback from dealers. This is a topic that we've had request after request to talk about. This is something that, you know, I think is relevant right now because it's what goes on on the blacktop on a daily basis. And really it comes down to, you know, training. It comes down to, you know, how do I teach people that are coming into the business? And here's why it also is relevant. It's not just a green pea, but there's a lot of transfers in the car business. So if you have someone who is at a dealership that has been trained one particular way and they end up at a store that's different, you know, it's kind of like getting a new offensive coordinator, you know, on a team, you know, every year or what have you, and you got to learn a different playbook. And so it's interesting from across the board. And so we've had tons of feedback. And Dave, I think our guests are ready, man. Let's bring them on and let's talk about the road to the sale. Is it dead? Is it alive? Is it under construction? Is it asleep?
Right.
Is it sleeping? Road to the sale?
Is it in the ER? Are we patching it up? What's going on here?
Come on, we need to give some CPR today. We need to kick it in the testes. Let's do it. The road to the sale.
The road to the sale. You know, here's what we're going to do. We're going to introduce our 4 guests, and we're going to... Sorry, Mike? Okay, yes. The next up, joining our show for the first time, we have Joe Webb. He's the president of Dealer Knows, and Joe Webb is an automotive trainer and consultant. And we have Jonathan Dawson from Cellcology. And Jonathan is with us today. He's no stranger to the show. He's an expert trainer in dealerships' everyday teaching process. And we have Jared Drake from Bartow Ford, successful veteran salesperson right down the road here in Bartow, Florida, one of the oldest Ford dealerships. And he is on the blacktop every day performing this process. And, of course, we have Danny Benitez, general manager of Greg, do I say it right? Greg Laird?
Greg Lair.
Lair. And that's Buick GMC. So, gentlemen, go ahead, Dave.
No, I'm going to say, appreciate you guys being with us today, and a lot of anticipation on a great topic. We got a lot of feedback. We've heard a lot of different opinions, from it's dead to it's alive and well, that it needs a rehaul. It needs some construction done on it. We're on a road, but it's a different road. I mean, we've heard everything across the board. So I want to start. I want to kind of bring up again Joe Webb. has written here in Dealer Refresh, the exit to the sale, it's no longer a road. And so I want to kind of just read, if I can, the opening statement, Joe, that you wrote. And then I'm going to ask you to kind of talk about that. And then we're going to go to Jared Drake, for his response on that. And I want to see if Jared feels the same way, and then we'll start the discussion that way. Joe, it says here that, quote, this concept that consumers arrive at a decision to purchase because we've walked them through a drawn-out series of steps is no longer realistic. Joe, thanks for being with us. Talk about that and explain to our listeners what exactly you're saying there.
Well, the topic of my blog was the road to the sale is broken. I recently spoke at the Digital Dealer Conference with the title of the same, The Road to the Sale is Broken. And in a lot of ways it is, because the people that are the majority of sales managers at dealerships around America were probably trained on a floor from their sales managers. And we've all learned pretty much the same multi-point road to the sale, which involves, you meet and greet them, you sit them down, you perform a needs assessment, you help them select a vehicle, you walk around the car and give them a product presentation, you take them on the test drive, you come back, park it in the sold line, do a test close, you bring them in, you do the trade appraisal, the credit application, you write it up, you negotiate, you close them in the box, but you place them in the box, you get out, you deliver them, and they're on their way. And that's what everybody has learned. The problem is consumers are averaging 14 hours of research, visiting 26 different websites per Google in advance of arriving at a dealership. They do not need somebody to sell them a car. They've sold themselves based on the research they've done. They've made viewed salesperson bio videos, and that's been the meet and greet they need. They selected their own vehicle. They performed their needs assessments by visiting 26 different sites. They have an estimate for their trade, whether they've been Auto Trader, Trade-in Marketplace, or Kelley Blue Book, or another site. They have an understanding of what the vehicle is worth because of the True Cars of the world, or they've emailed into the dealership, and the dealership has a posted price. They've completed so many tasks in advance of arriving. They don't need a salesperson at all. They need a retail professional that is going to just really get out of their way to help them buy a car. I think the majority of sales have been a lot of sales have been decided in advance of speaking to a salesperson, and the salesperson, because they walk them through this long, antiquated process, probably somewhere along the line shoots themselves in the foot and costs the dealership the sale. They aren't looking to get sold, they're looking to buy.
Okay, and let me go to Jared. Jared, what about those that would say what Joe just said? What about those that say it's not about a long process, but now you're removing the salesperson from it? So how am I supposed, what about beating out the competitor? What about taking the sale? Jared, what do you have to say about that? Do you agree with what Joe said? And if you go ahead and just elaborate.
You got it, guys. You got it. Hey, I appreciate the opportunity. Thank you again for letting me speak on this. I mean, I would say being a salesperson for the last 16 years, you absolutely need a salesperson. You need someone like me to be out there handling the dealership's business. And with the road to the sale, here's the thing. I agree with you one way. Okay, the ways that customers reach the dealership may be different, either through phone, email, social media if they drive to the dealership, but the fundamentals to the road to the sale, I believe, are the same because, you need a strong foundation to have strong results. I do want to mention one thing. Okay, what step the customer may be on, they may be on the third step, the fifth step, like he's saying, getting the information and doing some of the initial steps. But what I think is you definitely need a roadmap, and no matter what step the customer's on, as a sales professional, you need to be on the same level with that person in a partnership. That's what I agree with. And I still think that the road to the sale is important because you do have to do the steps, in order to get to the final result. I was just in Washington, D.C. recently, guys, and I tried to take a shortcut when President Obama was at Arlington National Cemetery. I was trying to take a shortcut. I went around the corner, and the Army was there with dogs and all kinds of military stuff, guys. So I got to tell you, you take a shortcut, it can lead you into trouble.
Yeah.
Okay, well, a customer is not trying to assassinate you. I understand that analogy. What I'm saying is, I think we are strongly over. We throw way too much value into sales skills and not enough value into value building skills. I think customers don't want to go to a dealership to make a friend. They really just need somebody who, as you said, if you're a sales professional, you're not walking them through a process. So, if you are walking them through a process, I guarantee you are more flexible to a process. If somebody comes in and they say, I really want my trade appraised, why must you follow some disciplined process that touches on a bunch of things that maybe aren't that important to a customer? Only, I think, 90% of customers do test drive cars. Some do not want to test drive the car. Some are, and I believe there's value in the test drive. Don't get me wrong. I love selling the test drive, but we need to cater and customize each and every individual customer experience based on what the customer's primary needs are, and then circle back to hit the other things.
Well,
You
Joe,
don't have to bring them through some strict path.
Let me
in
ask you,
which
Joe.
We prefer selling cars.
Hey,
we need
Joe.
to find the path in which they prefer buying them.
No, let me ask you, Joe. We're trying to stay very biased down the line because honestly, I personally, this is Dave Villigan. I see on both sides. I see valid points and so forth. However, you just said something that brings up some other shows that we've had. We've talked about this numerous times. I hear tons of dealers say customers don't know what they want. So, I mean, you're saying let them buy the way they want to buy, but they may not know what they want to buy. And the brand loyalty, that used to be there. My grandfather would only drive a Lincoln or whatever it was. That doesn't really count today because, I can look at my employees, and we've done this poll before. It's all over the board. The last 4 or 5 vehicles they've had go from, sedan to small, small sportier car to import to domestic. And, so what about the dealers that would say they don't know what they want to buy? And number one, and then I want to also ask this, and maybe Danny, you could weigh in on this as well. What about competition? So what about the fact that GM's jobs are on the line? What about the fact that you're only as good as last month? So you have these owners that are looking at numbers. How do you beat out your competitor with this thinking as well? Danny, is that a problem as well?
Yeah, that's a lot of questions, but I'll tell you right now that first of all, it's an honor to be here with these great car people. But 80% of customers end up buying something other than what they inquired about. About 50% of them switch brands. So customers don't always know what they want. But here's the deal: they used to come to dealerships looking for information. Now they don't come here looking for information. They've got all the information they want at their fingertips. They come to the dealership now looking for confirmation and justification, and that's where salespeople come in. I heard Joe allude earlier. He keeps talking about the old road to the sale. I would agree with you that the old road to the sale is becoming less and less effective because people buy cars differently. There is a road. Anytime you mentioned process, if the beginning is the initial contact or when they're shopping, and the end result that you want is a sale, then the way from A to B is some sort of a road or some kind of a map. And it may look very, very different, but a road to the sale still exists. If you're going on a trip, just because the landscape has changed, it doesn't eliminate the need for a map. You need a map. There is a road to the sale. There's just a lot more on-ramps and off-ramps now, thanks to the digital revolution. We need to be able to listen, and what you said, Joe, is exactly right. We need to adapt to every single customer differently because they're coming onto this road at different spots. And let me tell you, with all the aggregators and all the opportunities to shop, they're getting off that road pretty quick too. So we have to understand that we have to meet with these customers where they're at in the process and join them there and take them the rest of the way. And like you said, don't screw it up. But the way we do that is to shut up and listen and develop a mindset, commit to a mindset, and quit committing to these steadfast rules. But it's still, in my opinion, and I think we're down to semantics, I think it is a road, and we do have to understand how that road works, and we just have to be nimble and flexible and understand that the customer is looking at these things differently.
Yeah, and I'm gonna shift this over to Jonathan. I'm ask Jonathan to comment, and I'm just gonna kind of open it up by saying this. Do you think that there's a cloud, Jonathan, over the road to the sale? That there's some negativity attached to it, and that's why we're trying to move away from it? Or, and on the flip side, can someone who really understands the road to the sale perform it in such a savvy way And when I say savvy, I don't mean tricky. I mean just an artful way that they're leading that customer through the sale properly, with the end result being a sold deal. And isn't the customer better off because of it?
Well, fantastic. Yeah, first of all, thank you, of course, for being on the show. Yes, I agree that there is somewhat of a cloud, if you will. I think in the attempt to be progressive sometimes, and I'm not saying Joe specifically, but I do hear some trainers talk about the road to the sale being dead, or we get rid of the steps, or, we need to have a completely new way. We don't need 10 steps. We need 5 steps because it sounds cooler and more efficient. But when you examine what they mean by 5 steps, really what they are is they're 10 steps. They just call each step what was 2, now 1. So I think the road to the sale is supposed to be a direction that you're going towards rather than a rigid process. I learned from a general manager friend of mine, Jim Frampton, a long time ago. He said you need rigid flexibility when handling customer scenarios. And I think that there's so much truth to that rigid flexibility principle. We have to have a direction we're going. We have to have a goal that we're moving towards. There is a process, but we have to have flexibility because your process should never be elevated above the people that you're serving in the process. And I think that's where the pushback is coming from, the pendulum swinging the other way, is that, the traditional control methodology is, control, get strong, you've lost control of your customer, you need to control this whole verbiage and language that feels archaic, I think is archaic. We need to get rid of the philosophy of controlling people and say we need to lead, guide, and direct the customer through the process. But every single day in dealerships that I'm working at, this is being proven every day that customers come in with expectations of a certain type of vehicle or a certain budget, and then they end up switching. Why? Because once a proper investigation is done, it discovers wants or needs or future wants and needs that become more relevant and change the direction of the vehicle selection. But I think whether you take it 10 steps, 12 steps, 6, it doesn't matter. There are certain things that are critical, and this is where I think I would take a little bit of issue with Joe, and I'm sure if he clarified, we'd probably find agreement. But where he says we need to, not emphasize sales skills so much and just emphasize the value skills, I guess I would want to know what you mean by that, because I think sales skills is value-building skills, and sales skills is not manipulating but influencing the customer to take action for their best interest. And so I guess I don't like the idea of when we say we need less sales, less process, it's all customer-driven. I think that to me, maybe we'll go there eventually, but I don't think we're there yet, and I don't think it's even 80% of the population that needs that.
So, if I can just expand on that, I think we are talking a lot about semantics. At the same time, I don't think it's a road. When you envision a road, it's like long and it's ongoing and it never stops. If anything, we should be like a bridge, and underneath the bridge is the divide of losing all the sales, of all the obstacles by it, and we just need to get them from not having the car to having the car. So we should be a bridge to the customers. Semantically, when I say road, there are steps. I'm not saying there aren't steps, but I'm saying the next step, there's not 10 steps. There's always one, and it's the next step. We need to get the customer to the next step. If the customer comes in and says, I saw stock number, P Z215, and I want to buy it, you don't need to, let's go out, let's walk out, let's walk the lot, let's show you the car, let me leave you out here, let me go get the keys for it, come back. You just sit them down and you allow them to purchase that car. So in regard to value building, Jonathan, I agree. When I think of sales skills, I think of things like the takeaway close, and I think of negotiation tactics. When I think of value building skills, I think about if you understand where the customer had researched in advance, and you know they had been on TrueCar, and you know they had valued the vehicle on Kelley Blue Book, and you know that they built out a vehicle on Edmunds True Market Value, then you need to, as a sales professional, be able to do exactly what the customer has done, allow them to retrace their steps or retrace it with them in front of them, and use those third-party resources to validate their concerns. And that's where salesmanship comes in, is you need to explain to customers what certain tools and reports mean that they don't fully understand. And that's where the value of a sales professional comes in, is helping them understand what is real and what is not, and just utilizing those third-party resources to confirm and, as Danny had said, really just validate and confirm what they want to believe.
Well, let me say this.
Hey, David. David, real quick.
Yeah.
Can I ask the panelists, can you see Jared's still shot on the screen?
Yeah.
Could everybody try to just emulate it? Joe, put your hand right here like this and lean up to the camera. Does that look cool?
I need my shades.
Well, the thing is, Danny,
yeah.
the thing is, that's a video. Jared just hasn't moved. So, and so he.
Hey, it's sunny here in Florida, man. It's sunny here in Florida. You got to have those shades, my friend. I promise you that.
Hey.
Serious around here. I got a tweet from somebody that says, "Hey, Danny, I've never seen you more serious." So we have to have a little bit of fun to break things up.
Well,
okay, go ahead.
Well, no, let me ask
Continue.
Jared. Well, Jared, you got your shades on. It's bright on the road of the sale. So,
That's right,
but
man.
I gotta ask this, and Joe, I gotta apologize, man, because it's hard for us to keep sometimes when we're, Crib. I think Cribs is
I wanna
Cribs is
explode.
like leading the questions and so forth, and I apologize because I saw you shake your head. It's hard because we're human and we're sitting here, but we're salespeople. But here's the question I have, I guess, Jared and Joe. Of course, you can have a chance, man. We're not picking on you, but you wrote the article, so but defend this. I mean, you said a bridge, a road. I mean, tomato. I mean, is it? Here's my question, because this is coming in on social media in front of me. Is it semantics? Are you just going, hey, man, stop calling it a road because the car business, needs to change because it just needs to break the mold? Or is it, because I guess the question that was brought up prior to the show by several people that sent out videos, probably 4 or 5 out of the 15 or so that did promo videos, said something like the road's not dead, but it needs to be different. It's unique. And so, I mean, I guess my question, and maybe it is for Joe and Jared, does the road need construction? Does it need to be retooled? Or is it dead? Because, Joe, you said here, another quote right on the first page, we have to eliminate the idea that the road to the sale sells cars. Now, you're obviously doing well, but you're gonna alienate a lot of car people, obviously, with that phrase, because they can't even look at what you're talking about because you piss them off. We're like, why a road to the sale? So explain that, man. I mean, talk about the bridge, the road.
Absolutely. I'm not in this industry to make friends, but I have friends.
Hey, we all
I'm
love
your
you.
friend, Joe.
Joe, we all
I'm
love
your
you.
friend, Joe.
Me too.
I know, and I love you too. So what I want to say is, no, I don't believe there's a road to sale. That's why it is broken. I believe that every single customer deserves their own path, and it is only a qualified retail professional who can ask enough questions, understand what the customer's journey has been,
Interview.
and what their goals need to be, and help them accomplish that stuff. There are going to be steps involved. It might be all 10, 12, 15. It might be 2. But I don't want dealers or sales professionals to cut corners. I want them to speed up and streamline processes. And I don't want to get into semantics. I just believe that, and I think Danny put it much more eloquent than I am. Every single customer comes with one specific goal, usually to end up transacting on an automobile, but they don't need every single step it takes to get them there. But how we've trained people is to only understand this one process, this one strand or sequence of events in which to get them there, and we need to eliminate that, and we need to almost empower and train, utilizing people like Jonathan Dawson to come in and help them understand the mindset.
I say amen to that, right?
You have to kind of check. But of each individual consumer in front of them, you have to train your people and empower them to get to know, to ask questions on what they need to accomplish, and the quickest way it takes to get them there. Every single customer's biggest complaint about buying a car is not about the deal they got, is not about the car they bought. It is about the time it takes to buy it. And
Can I make a point? That is such a great. I want to make a really quick point, and I used this analogy in some training the other day. I mentioned earlier about finding out where the customer's at and then joining in there. And I used an analogy. There's a small town, there's a lot of small towns in West Texas, but about 100 miles from here, there's not much in between. And I gave them the example is if you were hitchhiking from our town to that town and you were in the middle and a car drove by and you stopped them, you said, hey, listen, I noticed that you're on the way to Lubbock and I'd like to get a ride down there. They say, yeah, hop in. You say, but I'm really used to driving all the way from Amarillo to Lubbock. So if you don't mind, would you drive back to Amarillo and then drive me to Lubbock? Because that's what I'm used to. And they look at you like, what the hell are you talking about? And they slam the door and drive off. But we do the exact same thing here. Somebody comes in, they've done the thing about, they've done the meet and greet, which is now the website or review sites. They've done the needs analysis or qualification through aggregators or payment calculators. They've selected vehicles. They've done walk-around videos. And then they come in, and they're ready to move forward. But we want to use, like Joe says, this antiquated road to the sale. So what we say is we say, great, welcome to my dealership. You looking for two-door or four-door? You want light colors or dark colors? Are you the primary driver? You know what? They don't want that. Millennials, I don't give a. Our seniors, nobody wants that. They've come a little ways down the road, and if we will shut our mouths and listen and find out where they're at and have the training from great people like Joe and Jonathan to listen and to understand what people want, then we jump in the car with them and we finish the trip. Guess what? It's easier, it's faster, the experience is better, and that mentality and that ability to be nimble and understand and listen is what's going to help us. And road or no road or potholes or whatever, we just need to listen and understand and join them where they are.
Okay, so I want to change the name. Can we change the name from road to driveway? Isn't that where we're trying to get it anyway?
Yeah. There's just a lot of
Let's just change it to driveway. We're just going to go straight to driveway, the driveway of the sale.
Hey, Joe, I'm going to ask you this because I'm all for, just like several of you mentioned already, meeting the customer where they're at, streamlining the process, making it less of a stressful situation.
Well, actually,
for the consumer.
Clint Burns tweeted in and said, "I don't want salespeople to cut corners, but I want them to streamline the process."
Streamline the process. I'm all for that. I really, really am. When I said I was all for the road to the sale, I'm not flipping sides here. But what I am saying is everything that I heard Joe say, Danny say, they just described to me the road to the sale. They're just doing a little bit more savvy. I mean, Joe said you've got to.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Joe said you've got to understand where people have been online, where they've spent their time, where if they've been to TrueCar, if they've been to this, if they've been to that. Well, the only way you're going to know that is through an interview. And the only way you're going to be able to interview the customer is when you actually say hello to them and meet them. So, I'm still hearing all the steps that are taken for the road to the sale. Let's just talk about maybe being savvier about where to meet that customer maybe.
Yeah, can I add in on that real quick?
Sure.
So we all have anecdotal stories, everybody does, of the customer who comes in, and because we, quote-unquote, get out of their way, they buy a car real quick. But I think equally matched are the stories where the customer comes in and says, I don't need to drive the car, I'm not interested in driving it, I've already done my research, and then through the course of conversation, we discover that the customer is looking at either a different car or, as happened to me at a dealership not long ago, the customer told the salesman, I don't need to drive it, I've done my research. The salesman's in to get numbers, and I said to the salesman, I said, hold 1 second, please. I want to go touch your customer real quick. I want to talk to him. When I walked out on the show floor, I greeted the customer. I said, sir, have you had an opportunity to experience the Kia Soul yet? And he said, experience it? It's a Kia. And I said, I know, and it's quite the experience. And he said, I'm just looking for a commuter car. And I said, I understand. I said, well, it's going to take a little bit of time to put everything into the computer properly. I'd love for you to have the experience of the car to support your decision-making process. I'm going to invite you to experience it. I'll get the keys. And we kill two birds with one stone. When that gentleman came back from the test drive, the demo drive, when he came back from that step, I asked him, what's your thoughts and your opinion? His exact words, that's a lot more car than I expected. Now, which customer do you want to present numbers to? And, I mean, this is what happens when we skip steps like this, when we assume things about the customer's experience or the research they've done. By the way, if they've been to another dealership and driven the car there, I'm not trying to be redundant with the customer, but I'm not going to put my confidence in a person who didn't close them. I'm not going to put my confidence in their salesmanship or value building, if I use Joe's language. I'm not going to put my confidence in them. They didn't close the deal. So why am I going to take somebody else's test drive and presume that my test drive at my dealership is not going to add even more value or confirm even more things that the customer missed at the other store? So I just don't know, in my experience, I don't know that there's too many times that I've seen where, quote-unquote, skipping the steps or fast-forwarding too much I don't see where that's really advantageous on the scope of customers. I don't.
Let me jump in real quick. I want to ask Jared a question. And Jared, what I'm hearing everyone say, and I think we're getting hung up again on the road part, but let's look at it from a standpoint. We're all in we all have our respective cities. Here in Tampa, again, construction. Well, I grew up here. They need to rebuild or add to interstates. They need to add new exits. When they widen roads, and because people populate or grow in one area, they add an exit ramp where there wasn't an exit ramp. So really, I think with the addition of everything that's new and modern, obviously the internet and things of that nature, there needs to be some additions, is what I hear. There needs to be the ability to stay on and past that exit, maybe go to the next exit, because you can get there faster these days. So I guess, Jared, is that in your mind a need to eliminate the road to the sale, or is that a need to modify the road to the sale? Jared, what do you say?
Here's what I think. I think you can always add value to something, and you can add value to the road to the sale. I do want to say one other thing. If you're in the automobile business today, you need to be highly ethical, not controlling your customers, nothing like that, right. Highly ethical, okay? And I want to say one other thing. It's a partnership, because here's the thing. At the end of the day, if your customer is not satisfied, if your customer is not happy, you're not going to get any return business. And if you want to be in this business a long time like I've been and like other guys strive to be, you want to have that repeat and referral business. That's the best business you can get. That is amazing. That's what you want to go after. Amen. So I would say you definitely want to add value and can add value to the road to the sale. How can you do that? Personality, your methods, the way you do business, who you are. You can totally do that to it, but I do think that obviously, like in anything, you got to have the processes and meet that customer, like I was saying earlier, on what step he's at. So I'm not disagreeing with you saying, hey, you know what, let's modify and let's streamline it, let's make it work, let's do this. But I wouldn't say completely, kill the road to the sale is I'd be against that. But yeah, you can always add value, absolutely.
So to go on what Johnson said, to experience the vehicle, I couldn't agree more. And I'm not saying all stuff should be eliminated. I love it that Clint Burns, you stated, and I didn't get to see it seated, something very similar to what I said. I was fortunate enough to be able to speak at Digital Dealer with Mark Stringfellow of the Next Up. Mm-hmm. And the Next Up had really done some deep diving. They have a managed sales floor technology, which really helps them clinically understand what points in the road to the sale process have the most value to whether or not you're going to close a car deal. And just a couple things, if I can bring them up, that's Next Up data. So the difference between a customer test driving a car and not being given a test driving car, and I'm pulling up the data right here. There's three primary steps, but if a customer walks in and just is test driven a car, doesn't test drive the car, they literally close at about a 3% rate. Walk in, he doesn't get to test drive the car, close at a 3% rate. And then a person who just walks in with an appointment and doesn't test drive the car still only closes like above 10 or around 10%. However, the three primary elements that are most specifically relevant to selling a car is going to be, number one, the write-up. Obviously, that's sort of, neither here nor there. So if you write up and present numbers, a customer's in the state of mind of numbers. Number two is the test drive. That's where the majority of value, I believe, can be built. And number three is a manager introduction. And those three steps together with a walk-in, a test drive, a manager introduction, and a write-up can close for walk-in, and I think typically around 25%.
Well, the number, Joe.
Customers that show up with an appointment, it's like 47%.
Joe,
all three things happen.
Joe, the number, I got some numbers here because I got some numbers from Clint too. Close to 200,000 last month, 200,000 showroom transactions from last month. This is a poll on 200,000 transactions. You said that if a customer doesn't test drive, the closing ratio is 2%. But listen to this, it goes with a test drive and a manager TO. That's another show there. It increases to 46%. With a test drive and a manager TO goes up to 40% close. 46%, I'm sorry, close.
Yeah, so
thank you, Clint Burns.
It sounds like the closing percentages are going up when we
Uh-oh. Here he comes.
Yeah.
He's going to say something about the road to the sale.
When we
isn't
introduce more actual sales or sales process. Now, here's the thing. We're almost out of time, so I'm going to ask each of you to have a closing comment, and also when you close out, just if you would tell dealers how to reach out to you. Go ahead, Jonathan Dawson. We'll have you first.
Well, fantastic. Well, first of all, again, I don't think the road to the sale is dead. I do think it could use a facelift, and I think that the best way to do that is to teach and empower your salespeople to understand from the customer's perspective what the customer's trying to accomplish. And that goes to what Joe and Danny were saying, which means we have to ask more intelligent questions to be more efficient with the customer's time that obviously they value so much. So I just want to say, if any dealer is interested in having some selling through psychology brought to your dealership, I'm celebrating my 13th year working with dealerships, and I'm actually giving away to 13 dealers a completely free trip to your store, and you can get that by going to whycarguy.com. That's W-H-Y, carguy.com, and that's my blog, and the whole thing on how to get a free day is there. And I want to thank the automotive community for allowing me to serve you for 13 years. I'm blessed because of you, and it's been a pleasure to be on the show.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jonathan. Danny?
Yes, and along that lines, if you want to get a hold of me, and I'll have a closing comment, it's at Danny_Benitez on Twitter, and I'll make a similar offer that any dealership that wants Joe Webb and I to come to your store and sing 80s hits, we will do that, and Jonathan will pay for that. So
I will.
Let us know if we can do that. Yes.
I've seen Joe sing. It's worth it.
We are. We'll start out with Wake Me Up Before You Go Go, and maybe do some Kajugugu or Mr. Mister. Anyway, outside of that offer, speaking of music, I'll use that analogy. The road to music used to be 8-tracks, right?
Oh.
Now, we're not eliminating music. It's just the road is different. Now we download it. We do things different. So if I'm going to leave anybody with anything, I would say reserve the right to adapt and understand that our sales process or the road or whatever it is, it needs to mirror the way people are buying cars. And for us to ignore that and impose our will, like as an industry we've done for way too long, then I just think that's short-sighted. We have to mirror what they're doing. We have to make sure that our process stays in line with the way that they're buying, their habits, the technology, and the things that are going on. So just be smart, be nimble, and reserve the right to adapt. And I'm tired of everyone being so closed-minded, not on this panel. This is a very open-minded panel, but everybody wants to generalize and tie themselves to this one philosophy. And the only thing I want you to tie yourself to is to be open-minded and adapt and really shut up and listen to what's going on around you and have your processes, reflect that. That's it.
Joe?
So, thank you. And if anybody wants to get a hold of me, they can call Danny's wife. Yeah, I'm just kidding. Yes, I had a burn. But what I will say is that I will be a little more scary here when I say that we don't just need to change the concept of having a road to sale. We need to change the concept of how we interact with consumers everywhere, specifically on our showroom floor. If we don't do a better job being flexible, and so I love what Danny said, adapt, and then, Jonathan said, some of the same things. If we aren't flexible to our customers based on how they want to do business, dealerships will not be in business, period, anymore. They will, just franchise laws would be the only thing keeping us around because we are not doing a good enough job serving our customers the way they want to be treated. I do not believe, from a road to the sale perspective, anybody sat down with a customer and say, spell out the order, A to Z, and what you'd like to accomplish, and that is what they gave us. That is our own creation, and we need to, on an individual level, customize every single sales experience for that specific person. Knowing that we still need to build value, we still need to leverage third-party data, we still need to get them in the car. We need to be flexible for each and every individual because each and every, customers are like used cars. They're not. We built a road to the sale for assuming a customer was like a new car, and new cars are a dime a dozen. Every single one are the exact same, You can buy a car on Danny's lot, or you can buy one at his competitor down the street. It's the exact same. No, that's how we built the road to the sale, is thinking they were the exact same. Jonathan Ching said no. The customers are like used cars. Every single one.
I'm saying don't send anybody to Danny's competitor.
Oh, okay.
No, I have no competition.
Hey, Joe, how does a dealer reach you, Joe?
Okay, so a dealer can reach me at joe@dealerknows.com or go to dealerknows.com. I put out a lot of content, a lot of video content as well. So
Awesome.
you can just subscribe to my newsletter right there on the homepage.
Awesome.
And yeah, I said, we just need to change the way we think about doing business, and we need to make it more customized for each and every person individually.
Perfect. Well said.
Thank you, Joe.
And Jared actually, I jumped off. I'm not sure if it dropped him, but maybe he had to take I'm not going to say it. Maybe he had to go sell a car. I don't know, but he jumped off the phone. So thank you guys for being with us, and it's always great to have you guys on. And Joe, I appreciate you coming on. I know this is your first time, but we welcome you back, and we'd like to discuss this topic again because I think you got a lot of traction.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you, guys.
Yes. Thank you, Joe, Danny, and Jonathan, so much for being on the show today.
Yeah, thanks, Cribs. Thanks, Villa.
Thanks for having us, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, and this one is for Stacy Ellison. She tweeted. She said she wanted to have Joe and Danny come sing, but she preferred Billy Ocean. It's a little get out of my dreams and into my car.
Into my car, baby. Sure. Yeah.
That's what she said, Danny. She said, Danny, get out of my dreams.
Interpretive dance.
All right, guys.
That would be misinterpreted.
Yeah. Thank you guys very much.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you much. Hey, we'll be right back. Don't go anywhere because we are not finished yet. Laura Madison is right around the corner. She's the next up. And we have Get Your Social On with Amanda and Aaron Ryan. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. A couple of minutes.
Cellcology salespeople are some of the coolest salespeople in the country, and they sell a lot of cars. Why? Because they build amazing brands that their customers never forget. And they collect hundreds of referral leads every month from the customers they sell. On top of that, they partner with local businesses to exponentially grow their marketplace awareness within their community. And they follow up like a boss with sold and unsold customers. If you'd like to have a team that does the same thing, please go to cellcology.com or call 612-387-7776.
Hello, I'm Alan Ram, president and founder of Alan Ram's Proactive Training Solutions. Let's face it, good managers are defined not by what they do when they have a showroom full of customers, but more by what they do when there are no customers in the showroom. In 2015, whether you like it or not, the car business is all about conversion of opportunities and driving traffic. All those great closers and desk people are not doing you a whole lot of good if your dealership is not converting effectively on the telephone and internet. As an owner or dealer, when you see 5 salespeople standing by the front door doing nothing, don't kid yourself. Your dealership is not being effectively managed. Management by Fire is a 2.5-day intensive course conducted entirely by me that teaches managers how to effectively manage in today's automotive industry. Simple processes for driving high-quality traffic. For more information on upcoming events, please call my team at 866-996-4599 866-996-4665. Once again, 866-996-4665. Thank you.
So what we're doing next up is
And we're back.
we back.
We're back. Thank you to our thank you to our sponsors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so the dirt road to the sale.
Yeah.
Does it need to be paved?
It needs some resurfacing, it appears.
Needs some resurfacing, some touch-up. Jonathan Dawson said a facelift. Joe Webb said blow it up. Jared said, heck with all y'all. I'm jumping off and going to jump on it right now.
Yeah, that's right.
Danny Benitez said, I don't know how I feel about it. I'm on both sides.
He said keep an open mind.
He said keep an open mind. Yeah, Danny's flip-flopping. I don't know, man. Is it broken? Is it fixed? Does it need... April Rain tweeted out that it needs... What'd she say? Hold on, man. The problem is the road to the sale is vague. She said it's vague.
Ooh,
What is your opinion? Stacey Ellison said, give me some Billy Ocean. I really don't know what to think here.
I do know this. These guys brought it today, and
Yes, they did.
I want to thank them. And I really want to thank Joe because he was somewhat the target in a sense because we were really going off of
Well,
his...
you were. He was your target.
Okay, he was my
evidently,
target.
Yeah, because you were over here like,
Just a little.
at one point you were like,
Just a
oh, come on.
Yeah,
shut the heck up
let's
so I
go,
can
let's
jump.
go, let's
Road
go.
to the sale. What, you got a problem with my mama? Oh, the road to the sale's not my mama. Yeah, that's what you treat it like someone spit in your mom's face. You're like, oh yeah, the road. You really? You gonna talk about the road to the sale like that?
I get a little overzealous.
You want you? Oh, did I hear you? Did you just say a road to the sale joke? Don't talk about a road to the sale like that. That's what you did. You bowed. Your mama bowed up.
Well, I mean, I was restrained and overzealous all at the same time. But hey, no, I have huge, really huge respect for Joe. I do.
It'd be fun if the mic would have cut off right then.
just-
I have really huge.
Huge respect for Joe. I disagree on a couple fundamentals, but hey,
No, you pretty much
it is what it
disagree.
is.
Period.
Okay.
You have your highlighter broke, man. You highlighted
Okay,
a hole
Joe,
through it.
here's the deal, Joe. I'm right, you're wrong. No, I'm just kidding.
And I'm going to sing the "I Was Right" song.
I'm just kidding. We love you, Joe. We want you back to keep
Yes,
discussing
yes,
this 'cause
Joe.
it was a great discussion.
Joe must have knew that it was going to be a little rocky because he's here in Tampa. He was supposed to come by the studio and be live, and he canceled the live part of it.
He
So
might
he's
come over here now.
He's somewhere in Tampa right now, Skyped in, about 20 minutes away from us. Hey, listen. The next up is Get Your Mother Hunting Social On.
Hey, come on.
Yeah.
Welcome to Get Your Social On here on Out of Your Live. I'm Erin Ryan.
And I'm Amanda Ryan.
And today we're going to talk about maybe a topic that you're used to. We talked about it before. Content marketing, why URL shorteners are a must. So if you don't know what a URL shortener is, that's okay. That's what we're here for. It is a way to convert a long URL, the address that's up in the address bar in a internet browser tab, and it condenses it. It makes it smaller.
Exactly.
It's pretty easy, pretty straightforward.
It's pretty straightforward.
Mm-hmm.
And if you've never seen one before, it's literally, it takes a big long link and
the longest link you can think of,
and literally it just like makes it really, really small. And of course, you want to know why that even matters, right? Well, you want your content to look good. So you put so much time into the content that you search for and you put up, and then all of a sudden you slap on a big long link. It literally destroys the content.
Yeah.
Think of the content that you're making is a puzzle, and this is a piece of that puzzle. You want to insert that URL shortened with a URL shortener.
Yes. So beautify your link. This is great. A great tip for branding for businesses as well as personal branding. So keep that in mind. It's also great because there's a lot of social sites that have character limitations, like Twitter.
Right, and you want to say something when you're tweeting. And if you have a big, long URL, you are going to be limited even more as to how many characters you can actually use.
So don't let those URLs limit you. Don't. And of course, tracking clicks. Who doesn't want to track how many clicks you're getting?
You want your ROI.
If you created a blog post, you put that out on social media, you want to see if it's going to actually have a return on your investment.
Exactly.
All right. So, can you use any URL shortener? No.
No.
1, 2, 3. No. All right. So
that was funny.
You can't. There's a lot of URL shorteners that are created out there that are actual URL shorteners. You can use them, But you want to be careful. We don't want to give you any tips here that's actually going to hurt you. So make sure that the URL shortener, and we're going to provide you some that actually do have a 301 direct to protect your SEO. According to Matt Cutts, your SEO should never be affected if you use a URL shortener using a 301 direct, and that way your URL that has been shortened isn't going to be directed somewhere else in your Google Analytics that's kind of going to mess up your Google Analytics reporting, right?
You want to be careful with that. So make sure that you're checking for this if you choose one that's not well known or you have never used one before, because it's important. You want to protect that SEO.
Here's one of mine and Amanda's favorites.
Bitly.
Bitly. It's bit.ly. And, you know, the thing is we love Bitly because it provides a lot of information quickly and in real time. But so does Goog.gl, which is Google's URL shortener. And that's obviously a trusted source right there. As well as Owly, which is created by Hootsuite, which is a social media platform that you can also, third-party app that you can also use.
Now, keep in mind,
for social media.
Some of these might not provide analytics, and some of them
are different. They provide
they're all
different
different.
analytics. Yeah.
So just keep that in mind, and you know, maybe try a couple, see which one works and suits you best. Especially when they're trusted like this, it doesn't hurt.
Yeah, and I mean, there's some that you can purchase to customize a URL shortener that has your like full name, or like if you like 1234.com, that kind of thing,
right?
That you can pay for. But with some of these, you can actually just have a custom
URL for free.
Yeah, like just at the end, so it'd be bit.ly.com/1234, and you can actually keep track of it. So
right, and some of them also allow you to pay for them to get even more analytics.
More analytics or more customization. Yeah.
Right. So as Erin said earlier, we prefer Bitly. That's just the one that we use quite often.
Not sponsored by them or anything.
No,
just saying.
We just like them. And as you can see here up on the screen, hopefully, is that they provide analytics for free. So you can see, you know, how many clicks have happened. If somebody else has shared a Bitly, you can do a comparison to the same URL. So, you know, one person being Erin,
This is
46.
my traffic. So, you know, like 90% versus 10%.
Right.
And then it breaks it down even farther. Then it shows, you know, all time per hour.
Nice time frame.
24 hours, 7 days, 14 days, 30 days. It also shows you, you know, how many clicks within each hour. So that's pretty fantastic. And that continues on. So just because you shared the Bitly link today doesn't mean that
you can always go back and check it later on
tomorrow and like a year from now and see how many more clicks it retains. So it also shows where this bit link was shared, which is fantastic statistics to provide you which social networks actually work for you.
Right.
Now I shared it to Facebook, Twitter, and Google+. You know, I use Facebook the most. That's where I'm most active. So for Facebook, I had 23 clicks out of my 46, where Twitter had 2 clicks, but it shows that I had 1 tweet. And then for Google+, I had 2 clicks. 19 unknown is usually just direct. So it's not broken down from Facebook, Google+, or Twitter, because you can click through from Bitly to actually go to specific content. And then it also shows who shared this content from that same URL. So they might have created a different Bitly URL shortener from the same long URL address, but because they have a Bitly account, I can see, okay, that's how many they brought and how many I have. Right. So it doesn't provide you false information, and it kind of lets you know who else you can connect with, maybe with like-mindedness, that kind of stuff. So it's kind of neat how it breaks down, and other ones will have different ways of breaking it down. It's all dependent on what you're looking for and what best suits you, like Amanda said.
Yeah, exactly. So check them out, see what works, and make sure that you're checking for that 301 direct.
Yeah, make sure. Okay, so it is time for Get Your Social On. Social shout-outs. Do-do-do-do-do-do. Hello to @ENR Smith. I believe last week was your first time watching.
How awesome is that?
You tweeted at us. And
Welcome.
That is so fantastic. And we hope that you've come back. We hope that us here at Auto Dealer Live and GYSO, we've enticed you to come back and join our great automotive family. All right. @Northside Lexus. Hello to you and all your fantastic people at your dealership. If you'd like your dealership's Twitter handle or your personal branding Twitter handle to be shown here on Auto Dealer Live's Get Your Social On social shoutouts, say that 3 times fast, you sure can. You could just tweet me at the Aaron Ryan.
Or me at Amanda Shares.
Or together at GYSO
GYSO
Addicts. Make sure you start using hashtag GYSO. It's really short.
It is.
Get it? See what I did there? All right, at Frank GTNY. I think you might like the New York Giants.
I'm thinking that.
I'm
guessing that.
And then
another Frank.
We have another Frank. At the Frank J. Lopez. Hello to you. And we hope that you guys can connect. These are all automotive folks.
And I just want to do one more shout out to Calvin Pierce, who says hello to us on Twitter each week. Hi, Calvin.
Hello, Calvin. And he's in Nova Scotia too, and he's fantastic. So thank you so much. Appreciate it. All right. If you would like to get caught up on past episodes of Get Your Social On, you sure can at wikimotive.com/GYSO. We also have articles there for you to get more information about your internet marketing, content marketing, social media, everything and above. So that's fantastic. You can also connect with us on Facebook at facebook.com/groups/GetYourSocialOn, and on Twitter, hashtag GYSO. You can actually hashtag GYSO, Twitter, Google+, Facebook. We'll be checking. We'll be looking for you. Thank you so much for tuning in this week, and until next time, friends, get your social on.
Get your social on. Get your social on. Get your social on. Get your social on.
And we're back. We are back. We are back.
I was trying to look up something, man. Read it, and I didn't. I moved it off. Right. I love what Mike the car guy said about the road to the sale. He said we're not on a back road country road anymore. It's a smooth paved highway. And he said, unless you're a car hack. Oh, I love it. Awesome, man. We're back, and we're talking, is the road to the sale dead? Great panel today. Thank you, Amanda and Aaron Ryan. You guys were amazing as always. And we're over a couple of minutes, but hey, we're on the internet, so we could do that. But we're going to go right into our final panel, our final segment here. The next up is Laura Madison, and we'll be back in just a minute, but you don't want to miss us. She's going to be discussing her take on the road to the sale.
Hi, Laura here from LauraDrives.com and Alan Ram's Proactive Training Solutions. Thank you for joining me on Auto Dealer Live, and this month for my segment, I'm going to double up with the Ryan twins and share a little bit on social. Hopefully, I will be able to express something that's been bugging me for years, but will also solve a problem you might not know you have. So I have been fortunate enough to connect with automotive professionals from all over the United States, Canada, even Europe, who want to create a social media presence to win them more business. What's happening, though, on my newsfeed is really tragic. What I'm seeing on my newsfeed when I log into Facebook and scroll through everybody's post is what I call car spam. And again, I'm hoping to solve a problem you may not know you have with your social presence. So car spam is what I call requests to buy. These are posts of the oldest piece of inventory on your lot, or what the new Camry is leasing for, or the fact that you guys are having a weekend sale at your dealership, or a push-pull drag. That is all I'm seeing on my Facebook feed. I'm seeing you guys trying to get people into the dealership, and I have to tell you the truth about it. It's not effective. Nobody is signing on Facebook today saying, how can I help little Danny sell a car in Birmingham, Alabama? They're not saying that. They're logging onto Facebook completely consumed with themselves. As humans, we walk around every day thinking about our own problems and looking for solutions. And your offering of a sale isn't a solution to their problem, particularly if they're not in the market, which you have to remember, all of your Facebook connections aren't in the market every single day of the year. So what I recommend you doing, and what I've been trying to recommend for years, is create posts with value. So let me explain what this looks like, because what's important about your posts is you want to create a following and you want to create engagement and connections, and you want to share things that people are interested in reading. Because right now, all of you sharing car spam are not creating or sharing engaging content. You're not motivating people to the store or to you in particular. You're actually doing yourself a disservice. So an example of a value post, something that you can share that will be interesting and engaging and capture people's attention rather than making them want to scroll through their feed faster past your post, is something like tips to get better gas mileage, or a video featuring your favorite features on a newly redesigned model. Do you see how these types of topics are actually interesting? They're actually something that people might want to see. What about explanation of a technology like wireless charging? That's something that I would be interested in. How about showing off something super cool like a special edition car or a supercharged truck? That is something that you are going to have followers want to watch, engage with, read, and ultimately, hopefully, share to their own followers, expanding your visibility and allowing people to know who you are so that when it's time for them to be in the market, they're going to think of you in particular. The request to buy and the terrible social posts are completely plaguing our industry right now, and it makes me so sad to scroll through my feed and just see boring, stiff pictures of customers with their new car. If you can't make that picture engaging and interesting like somebody like Mike Davenport has, then stop sharing it constantly. Share the things that are interesting, and if you need to, look at the pages that you've liked and connected with and look at what you like about them. A page, let's say like a car page like Car and Driver or Jalopnik, they are sharing interesting, funny tidbits that you want to actually read. So please start there. Consider also sharing third-party articles about, the new 4Runner and how off-road capable it is. That's interesting, valuable stuff. And again, it's going to define you as an expert in your space, really create enormous visibility for you, and ultimately drive people in directly to see you. But those posts, a terrible picture from your cell phone of a car on the lot that is marked down to $19.95, is not motivating anybody through your door. There's a lot of different resources that you can read that are going to help you with this concept, including Gary Vaynerchuk, Jab, 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 Right Hook. It's a book I seriously recommend checking out so you can get a better feel for these principles. But please reconsider your car spam posts and try and create engagement with your connections. And remember, if you're not, you're ultimately hurting your own image.
And if you want to feature on your record, it'll cost you. Seen so many men turn imposters and going so they sold.
And we are back. And thank you, Laura, for that. And Dave, what a great show, man. What
Awesome show, man.
What a cool show today.
Thank you to our listeners. Thank you to our sponsors. Thank you to the automotive community for we just love this time of day. We love Thursdays at 3:30.
Thursdays at 3:30, the show where dealers go, and the dealers will be going there next week as well, because we've got the next show. We've got part 2 of the self-branding show. Have you gone too far? And we've got 47, 48 people coming on the show, something like that, Dave.
Well, we have part 2 next week. We literally moved a show that we had planned for next week to another week. And we're dedicating the entire show next week to personal branding, part 2. You've gone too far? And we're going to actually add something to that title. But here's the deal. We have 10 people, okay? I'm not going to tell you who they are. We got every one of them confirmed. They all were confirmed as of last week. 10 people on the show next Thursday. We're going to have to break them into 2 panels. The entire show is dedicated to personal branding, part 2. You don't want to miss this because we have some great big personalities on the show, and it's going to be off the chain, all right? And but it's You've Gone Too Far, part 2 next week, July 2nd. On Auto Dealer Live. Stay tuned.
Awesome.
So don't even tell me I will overcome the world even with the odds against me. You better fluent. If you wanna change the world, all you do is do it. Gonna get what I deserve, gonna get what I have earned. Now I know it's my time to take my turn. Trouble popping